This is CBC Here and Now.
We do have two separate fire departments, and so of course it's almost like a competition for funding.
I pay for the services that I receive. What would another tax on top of that pay for?
Sharing services.
Ahead of next week's provincial budget, communities weigh the pros and cons of regionalization.
They admired the strength and bravery it took for people to be able to come forward and put their photos and photos of themselves oftentimes out there.
Survivors sharing their stories through photography.
Ahead, we take you inside the 1,000 Words exhibit.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We begin tonight with a COVID-19 update. The virus continues to target the province's most vulnerable, the elderly. In the last 2 days, 6 more people have died of COVID-19. That makes 24 deaths in the last 8 days. And as I mentioned, most of those people were elderly. 3 were 80 and over, 2 were in their 70s, and 1 was in their 60s. 3 of the deaths were in Central Health, 1 was in Western, and 2 were in Eastern. There are now 38 people in hospital due to COVID-19, and 11 people remain in critical care.
Well, shifting from the oldest residents in the province to some of our youngest, since students returned to in-class instruction in January, absentee rates have skyrocketed. Just yesterday morning, nearly 12,000 students in the province were out of school. So let's drill down into some numbers that we have here. 11,671 students were not at school yesterday morning. And this data comes to us, by the way, from the English School District, which says more than 12% of staff and 20% of students, 20% have been missing class. Now for students, that's double the weekly average compared to the way things were before the pandemic, and more staff than normal have also been absent in recent weeks.
Now, the school district says COVID likely plays a major role in the above average absentee rates, and having so many students out of the classroom affects learning. The Teachers Association believes the rise in absenteeism will cause the education system to go into what it calls a recovery mode for the next 5 years. Now, according to the Teachers Union, the school district's data doesn't account for regional differences in absenteeism. It says some schools have had absentee rates as high as 40%, which the NLTA says puts heightened stress on the education system as children and teachers are missing different parts of the curriculum.
We got to realize that if you have pockets of children that are missing school, you might have kids out 2 weeks at a time. So there has to be some level of recovery during that time, let alone those kids who were facing a lot of other, could be learning difficulties, could be mental health issues. So it starts to add up and it starts to pile up. So in terms of a recovery system, I think that needs to be the strategy that we use moving forward.
The Teachers Association says teachers will have to make sure students have learned everything they should have after the pandemic years and recover what might have been missed. The school board has retirees and interns filling in to help, but the Teachers Association says that's not a recruitment and retention solution.
Now, Ottawa's latest virus modeling suggests there will be an increase in COVID cases as the more infectious BA2 subvariant continues to circulate.
We anticipate that progress will not be linear and that there will likely be more bumps along the way, including resurgence in cases this spring and likely also in the fall and winter.
The Chief Public Health Officer says elevated case counts were expected. Across the country, provinces have been dismantling restrictions. Tam says higher levels of immunity, proven protective practices, and reduced pressure on the health system have put people in a better position to stay safe and return to their normal lives.
Well, check this out. The Grand Lake Reservoir is looking a little more shallow these days. After 10 days of releasing water, the main dam near Deer Lake is closed again. A controlled flow began last Monday and concluded this morning. Deer Lake Power released the water due to high amounts of rainfall over the past 3 months. Well, time now for a quick look at the weather. I'm filling in for Ashley again tonight. Let's start with a look at current conditions in St. John's. It's starting to get a bit wetter out there now. We had a lovely day in St. John's, but we do have a freezing rain warning in effect. 1 degree out there now with some showers starting to come down. But here's a look at the system that's going to be pushing through tonight, bringing some pretty messy weather. As you can see, most of the island in for a freezing rain warning tonight and early tomorrow. Also, this wreck house wind warning in place. And a quick look at what's to come on the weekend. As you can see in Marystown and St. John's, risk of some thunder showers tomorrow morning and some milder temperatures on the way. I'll get into those details coming up.
Thanks, Carolyn. Employees with Choice for Youth have been on strike for more than 2 weeks now, and both sides claim they're committed to finding a solution, but they haven't returned to the bargaining table since talks broke off earlier this week. Here now's Mark Quinn has that story, including what it all means for the young people who rely on the Lily.
On the 18th day of the strike, the union representing 9 Choices for Youth employees says it's preparing to apply more pressure on the not-for-profit organization. Union leaders are issuing a warning to Choices for Youth.
That this is only the beginning of what you see. You have a chance now to resolve this, or we are going to continue to escalate our actions as you're seeing today with groups gathering, and we'll be seeing you, Mr. Pollard, in other sites other than Duckworth Street.
Choices for Youth says it's not speaking publicly right now, but it did send CBC News a statement saying the organization is still working towards getting a deal and settling the ongoing job action. We are committed to reaching an agreement, they said. NAPE says Choices for Youth has resisted unionization of its employees at every turn and calls it unacceptable that Choices for Youth recently issued records of unemployment for striking workers.
We have never seen an employer in NAPE's history initiate a layoff of striking workers. They did that last week, first of all to a single mom that drives 60 minutes to work. They laid her off first. The most junior employee in the bargaining unit, they issued his ROE next. And then when that didn't work with those two, they issued to them all. That was an intimidation tactic.
The strikers are working at the Lily, a Choices for Youth facility that provides living quarters and services for displaced and homeless youth. NAPE says those youth are now living at a local hotel.
And after 8 p.m. the evening, guess what? There is nobody looking after those youth other than the front desk clerk at the Super 8 hotel.
The Lily workers have been unionized since November 2020 and were the first Choices for Youth facility to do so. Earl says the issue that's currently at the center of the labor dispute is a request for pay increases for 2 of the 9 employees. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the provincial government plans to set up 25 regional municipal governments in the next 2 years. Bay d'Espoir is a prime target. There are multiple municipalities and local service districts established in that region, and the communities there are preparing for change.
We're a very spread out area of 6 different municipalities, and so we already do a lot of sharing of services and such. If that's what regionalization is going to bring more benefit to, and that we're going to be able to have a more structured sharing of services, in particular we're thinking like fire and emergency services, then that will definitely benefit the entire area. Right now, when we apply for any funding for our emergency services, we do have 2 separate fire departments. And so of course it's almost like a competition for funding. Not that the council see it as competition, but we're talking about money, so that's usually how it happens. With one regional center, then hopefully that would allow us to be able to have better access to funding.
Is it another level that we're going to have to pay taxes to? Is it going to be an additional cost, an additional burden to my household income? Those are all concerns. I mean, I'm a taxpayer here as well, and I don't want my taxes to go up for additional level of governance, but I'm not seeing it that way. I'm seeing when it comes to engineering services that if all of the region is sharing an engineer or 2 for civil, electrical, or whatever for planning, then that's a big bonus, because that removes you from having to repeat the project in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. You can develop your 5, 10, 15, 20-year asset maintenance plans and you can move forward as a region and get a bigger bang for the buck for sure.
I think what's going to be important is for all of our municipalities in the area to come to some kind of common ground before regionalisation happens, to decide what it is that we want to see from it and what we hope to see from it, and then as a collective group, then hopefully we can present that, and hopefully we can already have some ideas on what we'd like to see for our region.
Until we have more information and we have a thorough understanding of it, it's hard to jump on board. Like, we have to proceed with caution and make sure it's done right. But to have an opportunity to work closer with neighbouring communities is always an exciting opportunity for sure.
Well, the biggest change under the proposed plan would be to local service districts, which would be dissolved. Their assets and taxes would be transferred to the new regional councils. And that notion isn't sitting well with everyone. A group of districts came together earlier this year to oppose the plan. A woman on the Northern Avalon tells CBC she doesn't understand the logic.
My town, Greens Harbor, has declined a council now, I don't know, for probably 50 years. People don't want it. They don't want to pay property tax on properties that has been in the family for 100+ years. They don't, what are you getting for that? You're getting nothing for that. We currently, all the LSDs, pay for the services they receive. So in our case, I pay a water fee to the committee that has one of the wells. I pay the regional service board for garbage collection. I pay the fire hall fees, which also includes our street lights. So I pay for the services that I receive. What would another tax on top of that pay for? Essentially, we would be taxed to pay for another level of salaries for a government we don't want.
Well, in other news tonight, Anthony, survivors of sexual violence in this province are sharing their stories through photos. An exhibit of their work opened at the St. John's Farmers Market last night and is touring parts of the province next month.
Yeah, and it's called 1,000 Words, a Photo Journey, and the goal is to foster connections and support among survivors.
It's a photo voice exhibition called 1,000 Words, a Photo Journey. Which is a collection of photos by survivors of sexual violence. The idea is that the survivors will be able to tell some of their story about the journey that they've had through a photo medium, because often a photo can tell more than your words can. Anybody was welcome to join, any age, gender, from anywhere in the province, it didn't matter. And we did end up with 14 participants. And they ranged in age from about 20 to 50 years old, and they were from across Newfoundland and Labrador. I think that for everybody who participated, they went into it looking for and receiving something different. No two survivors have experienced the same thing, and no two are going to experience this the same. And I think that it's fair to say that everybody definitely did take something, and hopefully it was healing, and it was part of their journey for everybody. And the response I did hear from the survivors I did speak with so far was that they did find it to be a very important step in their journey, and that they felt that they had done something very positive for themselves. For a lot of people, there was a lot of decision making around whether or not this was going to be a positive thing for them, or if it was going to be too triggering. Some people did ask questions initially and then didn't participate because they didn't feel they were in a place that was, that they weren't in a place that was good for it right now. But then obviously the people who did participate felt that this was going to be a positive step for them going forward. We had over 70 people show up last night to see the exhibit. Lots of people who participated came and brought their friends and supporters. Most people said that they found it really powerful, that they found that it was really, they admired the strength and bravery it took for people to be able to come forward and put their photos and photos of themselves oftentimes out there. And yeah, so it was a really great response, a lot of really good support for the survivors. So next week we go to Corner Brook, and then we go to Grand Falls Windsor, and then Happy Valley Goose Bay. We are hoping that we'll be able to take the photos on some of our other work trips from there.
bit of a gray evening in St. John's, some freezing rain on the way, even a chance of seeing some thunder showers overnight tonight and maybe early tomorrow morning. I'll have more of those details coming up.
Hearing of large numbers of MERS are being seen both alive and dead, wars on the water, on the ice, but also on the roads.
Wildlife experts want to know,
why are hundreds of seabirds washing up along our coastlines?
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Okay, Anthony, it is weekend time, but before we get into the weather, I just have a question for you. Do you think that we have had more or less snow this winter in St. John's?
So I was gone to the Beijing Olympics for a while, but I kept tabs on whether my son did the driveway or not. It has to be less.
Slightly less, you are correct. Not by much though. Let's start by having a look at some numbers that our good friend Rodney Barney at Environment Canada gathered and posted on Twitter. You can see here St. John's in a normal year gets 305 centimeters of snow. This year, 285. So about 20 centimeters less. And I put these little markers here to show you the areas that have seen more snow than normal this winter. So you can see that Lancelot really kind of takes the cake there, about 200 centimeters more this year than in a normal year. So just a little bit of trivia for you there. Now let's look at the highs today. It was quite nice in the east, 4 degrees as the high. Terra Nova got up to 9 degrees today on the west coast. Corner Brook looking at 3 degrees today, and cooler in Labrador. Nain just hovering around the freezing mark. So weather on the way headlines. We do have a risk of some thunder showers. If you enjoy thunder showers like I do, then you'll probably be happy about that. And also some freezing turning to rain for much of the island tonight, and some snow turning to flurries in Labrador. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have this freezing rain warning in effect for much of the island. The west coast mostly spared from that, and a wreck house wind warning, winds gusting up to 100 kilometers an hour there overnight tonight. So some messy weather on the way. Much of the island has seen it throughout the day today. St. John's just starting to get a taste of it, as you can see here. Some flurries and that mix of rain and snow there. As we get into this evening, later on, you can see some of that heavier rain on the Avalon Peninsula and some snowfall for Labrador. So tonight in St. John's, -1 as the overnight low. There is a risk of a thunderstorm in St. John's tonight and on the Avalon Peninsula. About 10 millimeters of rain expected to fall tonight, and southeasterly winds 30 gusting to 50. You can see in Marystown that there's also a risk of some thunder showers along the south coast, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, and some high winds in the southwest as well as the northeast coast tonight. In Labrador, it's cooler there, so looking at more flurry action happening. -7 in Labrador City as the overnight low, about 2 to 4 centimeters of snow expected there. So let's look at your Saturday. Lots of cloud cover, as you can see, and some flurries on the west coast. In the east, we're looking at the potential for some flurries. We could see a few showers as well, depending on where the temperature sits. So let's have a quick look at how it's going to play out in St. John. So in the morning, looking at 3 degrees as the high with that risk of thunder showers, winds 40 gusting to 60. In the afternoon, getting up to about 6 degrees, could be a little bit warmer with a chance of showers, maybe some flurries as well. And then temperatures are going to dip down fairly quickly in the evening with 3 degrees, and that should start to clear off with a few peaks of sunshine. So looking at the temperatures, I have this asterisk next to St. John's because temperatures are going to be dipping down fairly quickly in the afternoon tomorrow. And looking into central areas, 2 to 4 millimeters of rain expected in the central area, 7 degrees as the high, but similar story there. That will be the high, but it's going to dip down very quickly in the afternoon. So those warm temperatures won't be sticking around for very long. On the west coast, 2 millimeters of rain, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow in the Port aux Basques area, and moving up along the straits, 5 millimeters of rain expected there. You can see that messy mix as well for the rest of Labrador City, looking at 5 centimeters of snow and some pretty strong winds as well. I'll have a look at our Sunday forecast coming up.
Hundreds of seabirds are turning up dead in a rash of communities across the province, and right now, nobody knows why. Wildlife scientists say the situation is developing as we speak because reports are still coming in. But it's all eerily similar detail. Emaciated, dead or dying turs found on the ice and along the shorelines. So far, reports have come in from Cape Friels, Twillingate, Hampden, Roddickton, and as far north as Mary's Harbour, Labrador. But the vast majority have been spotted in Hampden. Fisherman Lucas Rice of Seal Cove White Bay says he's never seen anything like it.
And all the way across the bay, you see turtles and turtles and turtles and turtles, hundreds of them, and 90% of the birds that you see is dying or floating up dead. You'll be watching them, and just a lot of them is that sick you can pick them up with your hands, and not count the dead ones. But right to the beach, they're going back and forth to the beach, and you tell them birds there's even something wrong with them. Like they're very stoned or something. You go pick them up almost. And those old see 10 or 15 eagles in each spot eating turds. Regard to people saying the birds could be starved and all that, I don't think that's the problem because, well, we haven't had no ice here. Like, weird to be watching. I tell you, it's nothing we usually sees around here like that.
Sabina Wilhelm is a seabird biologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada who's been trying to figure out what is going on.
At this point, we only have one bird in hand, which I was able to look at, and also based on what other people are finding, like the public, they are reporting these birds as being very emaciated. So essentially, it looks like they are starving.
So as a scientist, what questions are you asking right now, and what possibilities will you be exploring in the coming days?
Well, right now our focus is to get our hands on more carcasses so that we can, so we're working closely with the Provincial Animal Health Unit here in St. John's with the pathologist there. So she'll be taking in the carcasses and doing necropsies on them, and then she can determine cause of death and also start ruling out other potential reasons why these birds are dying, including avian influenza, which has been on everyone's mind as well. So that's where right now we're kind of working first and foremost on ruling that out. We've been dealing with avian flu since December here in Newfoundland, so that's definitely the first thing we're going to do is test these birds to make sure that or just to confirm whether it is avian flu or not, and that's the biggest priority right now.
Help us understand how authorities are responding right now and how widespread those efforts are.
Yeah, so like I said, the situation is unfolding. We did start hearing last week, as early as last week, about birds starting to come in, but really it was this week that we started getting large numbers from multiple sites. So within fairly quickly, we Wildlife Enforcement under Environment and Climate Change Canada, they sent out a crew yesterday to Hampton to go retrieve some carcasses. They've been also working closely with provincial conservation officers in that area. And today, Environment and Climate Change Canada sent out 2 technicians up to the northeast coast to recover birds and basically do site assessments to see what's going on in that area. And also, I have to say, also Labrador as well. There's on-the-ground efforts with conservation officers there to recover birds that are found there. And all of these birds are basically, whatever carcasses we do find, we're working to work at the logistics to send them here to St. John so that they can be looked at the provincial animal health.
Sabina, how soon could we know more about the cause of death for these birds?
Yeah, like I said, we do have currently some birds in hand. They're currently in Corner Brook, so we're working with our partners to get them shipped here to St. John's. So hopefully by next week, the pathologist will have a chance to have a look at these birds and just to get a preliminary results of what's potentially happening with them. The necropsies tell us a lot, but however, if avian flu is suspected, then those types of results we're looking at a matter of several weeks because it's just a much longer process.
What is your message to anybody that comes across turs or any other dead seabirds this weekend? What should they do?
Yeah, we're asking the public to not touch the birds at this point, or at any point actually. But however, it's important to report any unusual sightings. So if you see a large number of birds that are acting strangely or dead, just report them to your local wildlife authority.
Sabina, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Filling this thing costs double what it cost last year. Oil up 13 cents. It's gone up by 60 cents in the last month alone. And for a lot of people on fixed incomes, converting to electricity, well, that's just not an option. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, as you know, if you heat with oil, the price now per litre is somewhere between $1.83 and $2 in certain parts of the island. Oil's gone up, by my reckoning, over the last month by 60 cents a litre now that we've drifted into April. Joining me now is Belle Squires, who's invited me here to her house. We'll talk about oil. So, Belle, you've looked at your bill.
Yes.
What's your situation as far as oil goes?
It's over and above right now. It's expensive, and well, you know, the cost of it, even you look at today, it's gone up 13 cents today.
Yeah.
You know, so they just switched, like tomorrow it might be 11 cents, or, you know, per gallon, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous as far as we're concerned. I mean, as senior, well, you know, how do we live and keep the house warm and keep our food in our house and pay our bills? Because we all have bills, heaven knows, you know. But no, it's not an equal thing for us here.
So I went around the side of your house. I saw you have one of the larger tanks, right? 900 liters, I think.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So have you taken a look at how your bill has changed over the past few months?
Not really, but I do know it's gone up, not down. And what I do, like, I don't know if I'm smart or just trying to be smart. When I hear the oil price there, and if it's 50 cents today, okay, I get on the phone and I order my oil right away so I can beat the man out next door.
Right, the increase.
Yes, so the increase to that, like, you know, is humongous. You take today, you know, if I had to wait today and get my oil, look what it would cost me. It cost me like $658 last week to put what in I got in there.
Right, that's not even filling it.
No, and that's at $1.46 at that time when I put that in there.
Right.
And you know, and you know, you talk about your food, and you have drugs. I have diabetes. I have a heart condition, and you know, many ailments, and heart rate is on. So you take your bills for alone just for your medication. Yes, we're getting it for $6. You know, there's some of us seniors are getting it for $6. But can you imagine if tomorrow that my income went up too high and I had to go pay for myself? I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
I just have to forget it.
And you also have friends who, I mean, I'm assuming you guys are talking about the price of everything, but with heating oil, do you have to make different choices about, you know, what you buy and how you spend your money?
No doubt. Yes, you do. You know, it's, where do I put, you know, like you hear the people saying, like, where do we put our money today? You know, so we get our pension a couple of days ago. So first of all, you got to see, well, like, I have to budget.
Yeah.
Heavy, because if,
especially for people on a fixed.
Yeah, for on their fixed incomes, you know, that. And then again, I got to say, I would not want to get over my fixed income because, you know, what would happen. I have to pay for my drugs, and I cannot afford $100 for strips and needles and, you know, whatever you need for that.
Yeah.
For your diabetes.
I guess now,
plus your pills, you know. So.
Yeah. And nowadays, oil is just one of the things that's really expensive. I want to bring Tom Making into this conversation. He's joining us now. He's the head of the Association of, want to get the title right?
St. John's Retired Citizens Association.
Right. And Tom, you hear what Belle has to say. Sometimes you'll hear people say, you know what, people should convert to electricity if they really want to sort of make the change. If you're a senior, why would you do that?
Well, the biggest issue today, and listening to conversations at our association, the cost of oil, as one individual spoke to me, he said he was paying $350 a little over a year ago. He's paying close to $1,000 now. And if you fill your tank 4 times, I mean, you're talking pretty close to $3,000 increase on a yearly basis when you're on a fixed income. And even when you are based on an indexing, you're only getting an indexing of about 3%. So to try and, you know, control that and understand what it's basically doing to your disposable income is horrendous. But people have looked at converting from oil to electricity. Yeah. To understand that at 75 as I am, to do that, you got to first of all have the outlay. You got to basically have whatever the cost would be, $10,000 to $15,000. It's a great program because you are going to get a benefit of a rebate of, I think it's around $5,000. But how will I recoup that money in the times I have left? I'm never going to see a gain to it. Right. And then the black cloud with electricity, of course, is Muskrat Falls. So am I really going to see even a longer term to regain my money if I convert to electricity? The other part of it is, and I've heard a number of people, again at our association, who've decided to try and sell their home. They had 2 buyers come in, loved the home, fell in love with it immediately, but as soon as they saw the oil tank, they stopped.
Walked away?
They walked away from the deal because they don't understand or will not understand what the cost is going to be tomorrow. If you get a 13-cent increase today, what's it going to do next week? Yeah.
I'm 79 years old, okay? So I won't see all this oil thing and the electrical. You know, I'm not going to live long enough to enjoy that.
To convert if you did.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be in converting right now to electrical because I'm on the verge of selling my home, hopefully, and you know, it wouldn't pay me to do that because it could be this couple of months' time, it could be, you know, 6 or 7 months, I don't know.
Right.
But I certainly can't stay there with the oil price today.
Well, Belle, thank you for inviting me to your house and sharing your situation. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome, honey. Anytime you need to know something, just come to Belle.
Okay, I will. I'll come to Belle. And actually, I'd also like to come to you if you're having a hard time making ends meet, because this is not just affecting seniors. There are certain people working hard. Perhaps you got a situation where you're having a hard time. I'd like to hear from you. You see my email address there at the bottom of the screen. Send it to me, anthony.germain@cbc.ca, and perhaps we'll share your story on Here and Now.
Pope Francis apologized today for the abuses Indigenous people suffered at the hands of members of the Catholic Church in Canada's residential schools.
I ask for God's forgiveness, and I want to say to you with all my heart, I am very sorry, and I join my brothers, the Canadian bishops, in asking your pardon.
Pope Francis made the historic apology at the Vatican after several days of discussions with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis delegations. Chief Gerald Antoine, who led one of the delegations, called the move, quote, long overdue. He described it as a first step in the path of reconciliation. Residential schools, which operated for more than a century, had been part of government policy to assimilate Indigenous children. The Catholic Church was in charge of almost 2/3 of those institutions. The Pope says he hopes to visit Canada in the days around the Feast of St. Anne, which falls on July 26th. Well, Indigenous delegates in the Vatican say they are very pleased with the Pope's apology, but they say it's just one step on the path to reconciliation.
I was touched by the way in which he expressed his sorrow, and also the way in which he condemned the actions of the Church in particular regards. There is much more to do, and so an apology is a part of a larger picture.
This is so long overdue. But we're here now and we're able to move forward. And we look forward to bringing these messages back home, and we look forward to when the Pope visits and delivers a similar, if not stronger, message when he does arrive to our communities.
Well, to other news now, a young hockey player is speaking out about racism in his Quebec league. The 14-year-old, who is black, says he has been subjected to racial slurs on the ice. Officials say they're prepared to address the problem, but that they need proof, and that proof is hard to find. Alexander Baina reports.
14-year-old David Godwin says this past season with the Bantam Double B Voilier d'Aylmer, he faced off against something he hasn't encountered on the ice before: racial slurs from opposing players. He says he's been called
African animal, or like the N-word.
In early March, on what Godwin says was the third time he was the target of a racial slur, he retaliated against the opposing player. This video of the incident shows Godwin illegally checking another player from behind. Godwin's mother, Vicky Desolier, witnessed the incident from the stands.
And when he came out, I could see his lips shaking and his eyes watering. And then he said he told me to skate faster. You N-word.
The president of the local hockey association, Daniel Dupuis, says he takes these allegations seriously.
If the referees can identify the kid that's saying that, it'd be dealt with right away. The kid's thrown out, he's gone, he's suspended.
But therein lies the problem. Dupuis says referees didn't hear the alleged racial taunts on the ice and so couldn't issue a penalty. Experienced referees for minor hockey are hard to come by in the Outaouais region, mostly because of the harassment they face from coaches and parents. The incidents involving Godwin all took place against a team from the neighboring hockey association for La Lièvre de Gatineau. Its president, Vincent Britgui, says he would have suspended the culprit for the season. However,
we didn't have the name of the players who probably did the action.
Teams from these two associations meet for games under the umbrella of Hockey Outaouais.
Racism is not acceptable. Both president of each association did talk to the players, and there was action taken.
Godwin's mother insists that's not good enough.
I was willing to buy something to record and put it on his equipment, but it's not legal. But then how can I prove that this is happening on the ice?
After details of these incidents first became public through the media, Hockey Quebec, which oversees minor hockey throughout the province, said it was, quote, very concerned and would be requesting a formal report. Hockey Outaouais' president confirmed today that report has been filed and added that local hockey associations must do better in addressing these types of infractions in the future. Alexander Baina, CBC News, Gatineau.
Last ball, Laura. Please be Canada.
Tranquilo.
Canada. And it is Canada are participating in their second FIFA World Cup.
Well, Canada was last ball taken in the draw, determining which opponents Team Canada will face in the FIFA World Cup opening round. We're heading to the world's biggest soccer tournament later this year for the first time since 1986. Canada will face Belgium, Morocco, and Croatia. Ooh, Croatia's tough. That's in the opening group stage of the World Cup this November. Head coach John Herdman has lifted both the men's and women's programs to their highest heights, arguably becoming the country's most significant soccer figure. He says being back at the World Cup is a dream come true.
It was a surreal moment, you know, as a Canadian, but just a football fan, you know, to be able to see your team in a pot and then waiting for your team to be pulled out. I mean, I don't know how many years people probably in this country have had to endure that draw and, you know, be there ready to support their secondary team. So that, you know, to have our team pulled out and just to see that, you know, this is real. You know, Canada's on the big stage now.
It's one of the biggest, fastest fish in the ocean, the bluefin tuna.
Fish on, watch it!
Watch it, watch it!
The Fight for the Fish, Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Let's find out who's celebrating. Best wishes to Clayton and Shirley Hayward in Musgrave Harbor, who celebrated their 55th wedding anniversary yesterday. Happy 55th anniversary to Warren and Rhoda Blanchard of McIvers, who also celebrated yesterday. And a very happy 63rd anniversary to John and Phoebe Perrell, who were also featured on an episode of Land and Sea last year. Happy 64th anniversary to George and Nancy Hemian in Botwood. Happy 55th anniversary to Fraser and Betty Moss in Lethbridge. Happy 52nd anniversary to Carl and Elizabeth Hooper of Marystown.
Happy 55th wedding anniversary yesterday to Mary and Nash Pickett. Hope I got your name right. Formerly of Tilting, Fogo Island, now living in St. John's. Bill and Elsie Gilbert in North Harbour, Placentia Bay are celebrating 58 years today. Happy 57th anniversary to Frank and Jean Snow from Wings Point, Gander Bay, now living in Gander. Happy 55th wedding anniversary to Albert and Dinah Coombs from Corner Brook, and wishing Anthony and Patricia Kane of Mount Pearl a happy 58th anniversary yesterday.
Happy 51st wedding anniversary this coming Sunday to Henry and Margaret Moores of Raccoon. Congratulations to David and Patricia Haynes in Calagrews. They're celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary. Happy 61st anniversary to Jean and John Decker. Walter and Linda Gibbons from Red Bay are celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary. Happy 60th anniversary to Ralph and Hilda Fifield from Bonavista. Their big day is Sunday. Best wishes to Frank and Eleanor Conway in Conception Bay South on their 57th wedding anniversary.
Happy 50th on Sunday for Leo and Hazel Shepherd from Wreck Cove. Happy 55th anniversary to Fred and Netta Pond in Twillingate. And happy 50th wedding anniversary this Sunday to Laura and Ward Hollett in Hermitage. Merv and Carrie Wells in Little Burnt Bay are celebrating their 56th anniversary. Congratulations. Happy 50th anniversary to Brian and Sandra Kennedy, originally from Corner Brook, now living in Lower Sackville. Happy 61st wedding anniversary on Monday to Harry and Dora Coos.
Happy 68th anniversary to Peter and Jenny Burry of St. John's. Jerry and Stella Fudge in Gander are celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Now to some birthdays. John Keynes in Corner Brook is celebrating his 100th birthday today. Lots of love from all your family and friends. Ursula Chambers from Blue Cove on the Northern Peninsula is celebrating her 96th birthday. Happy 94th birthday yesterday to Susie Matthews from Port aux Basques. Birthday wishes going out to Rita Rose Fitzgerald of St. John's. She turned 99 last Sunday.
And Ted Young will celebrate his 90th birthday on Tuesday. He lives in Mobile. Happy 94th birthday to Genevieve Meehan, formerly from St. Mary's, now in St. John's. And Annie Janes is celebrating her 93rd birthday, originally from Cox's Cove. She now lives in Kitchener, Ontario. And congratulations to Pearl Batten from St. John's, who will be celebrating her 90th birthday on Sunday. Also, 90th birthday today to Esther Emberley from Bay de Verde, now living in Carbonear. And happy 92nd birthday greetings to Rita Barber from Gander. Well, Colin, you sort of get some nice weather, then you wait a while, and you get half a good day, things change a bit, it's kind of up and down. What are we looking at?
Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster for sure. This weekend, looking at some messy weather. Monday is looking like it's going to be quite nice, and Environment Canada is keeping an eye on another system that could be pushing through on Monday evening into Tuesday. So we could have some more snow on the way. But for now, let's just have a quick recap of some of the warnings that are in place for tonight. Once again, freezing rain warning for much of the island. Wreck house wind warning in place as well. Winds up to 100 kilometers an hour there. So looking at tomorrow, 8 degrees as the high in St. John's. I have the asterisks there because the temperatures are going to dip down fairly quickly in the afternoon. Some stronger winds as well, and a chance of some thunder showers in the morning, just in the morning. Then that risk will subside. For the rest of the island, Grand Falls winds are looking at 7 degrees as the high. Similar story there, though. Once you hit that peak, temperatures are going to start to go down in the afternoon. Corner Corner Brook looking at 4 degrees as the high there with some flurries. And for Labrador tomorrow, Nain, some flurries happening there, as well as in Labrador City with some strong winds, northwesterly 30 gusting to 50. So let's look ahead now to Sunday. You can see the flurry action happening here and along the south coast and as well on the Avalon Peninsula. So mostly a cloudy day coming with a chance of some flurries, maybe some showers depending on where the temperature is at the different points in the day. So 3 degrees as the high in St. John's, 5 in Central with a chance of some showers or some flurries happening there. Mostly a chance of flurries there on the west coast in the Corner Brook, Port aux Basques area and up along the Straits as well. Lab City looking at some light flurries Sunday, as well as Happy Valley Goose Bay on Sunday. Looking ahead to Monday, some nice clear skies, but then as we get into the evening, there's that system that I was mentioning that Environment Canada is keeping an eye on, but during the day, looking like a really nice start to the work week, 7 degrees as the high in St. John's. Nice temperatures right across the island, really lots of sunshine as well. Of course, when we finish the weekend, that's when the really nice weather pushes through. And in Labrador, a chance of some flurries on Monday and -6 as the high there, so much cooler there. So Monday night into Tuesday, looking at some showers, potentially some snow coming, 0 as the high on Tuesday. Wednesday, some more cloud cover and 2 degrees in the east. For Central, as well as some snow on Tuesday. Wednesday looking nice, but temperatures a little bit cooler than earlier in the week. And for Western Newfoundland, chance of some flurries there on Tuesday. Wednesday, some clearing, 0 as the high. And up through Labrador, some temperatures around the freezing mark and chances some flurries there. Western Labrador looking like it's clearing off nicely on Tuesday and Wednesday. So let's have a look at our viewer photo of the day. Going to take you to Lon today. I just thought this was a beautiful shot of Lon as you're kind of descending into Lon, a beautiful landscape shot. Thank you so much, Paul Pomeroy, for sending that in.
Nice landscape.
Yeah.
Beautiful
gorgeous.
composition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
And yeah, so the weekend is here.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping that we do get some of those thunder showers
Really?
Overnight. Do you like thunder showers?
I kind of like them, and they're very rare.
Very rare.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if that pans out.
All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for watching this week, and we'll see you again on Monday.
Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye now.